Let's have a look at the board setup. So this is the starting position. This is the initial position of every game of chess. As you can see, pawns are always located on the second and the seventh rank. So each side has 8 pawns, rooks, knights, bishops, queens, kings, again, bishops, knights, and rooks opposed each other. So make sure that your opponent also places the correct pieces in a correct manner. The easy way to remember is that queen always is placed on the same color. So white queen, white color. So that way you will remember to put the queen on D1 and the black queen on the black square D8. So don't make that mistake, because you will see a lot of beginners, they mix up the places of the king and the queen. You're not going to be the one. So white queen, white square, black queen, black square. And also, you've seen in my first video is that the right-hand corner for both players, looking from each side, is going to be white, always white. That's the correct positioning of the board. That way you will get the queen right as well. So quick exercise for you. How many moves can you make from the initial position? So let's start counting. So 2 moves by each pawn. So that's 1 legal move, second legal move, multiplied by 8. This is, we can make 16 possible moves with the pawn. And then we can play 1, 2, 3, 4 possible moves by the knight. So overall, 20 possible first moves. So the most popular move in chess, first move, is E2, pawn from E2 to E4, fighting for the center. So in the starting position, rooks are positioned on H1 and A1. Knights are on G1 and on B1. Light square bishop always on F1. Dark squared on C1. The queen likes its color, so it should be on D1 on the white square. And the king on E1. So another move that we can make in the starting position is a very popular D4. Okay, that's done. Castling. Castling is a special move to bring the king to safety. So castling is always, so you can castle both sides, short castle or a long castle, once we remove these, develop these pieces. So a short castle, also called kingside castle, because the king, this is the king side, is performed by taking the king and moving it 2 squares to the right and the rook to the F field. So that's the way to perform a castle. Long side is performed absolutely the same way. 1, 2 squares in one move. So we take the king, place it on C1 and the rook on D1. That's the castling. Okay, so to castle in this position, we need to get the knight developed first, for example, on F3, and then we can castle. Okay, so to castle in this position, we need to remove and develop the knight and the bishop. So let's move knight to F3. Let's play E4 and bishop to C4. Now we can castle. Likewise, if we want to castle queen side, so the queen side is this way, we need to move all of the pieces. So D4, very popular move. Bishop to F4. Let's play knight C3, queen D2, and castling. So we cannot castle kingside if the rook has already moved. So in this position, someone played rook H1 to rook G1. The only possible castling is the queen side, towards the queen side. According to the rules of chess, the king cannot castle when one of the fields is attacked, is under attack. So now you can see that the black bishop is attacking f1. We cannot pass the attack square. So we cannot, the king cannot move. So we need to somehow get rid of this bishop by playing, for example, d3. And now f1 is not attacked because a pawn is in the way of the bishop. Now we can castle. So to castle king side, we need to get rid of the bishop, but also the problem is that the g1 is under attack. So we can, again, kill two birds with one stone by playing bishop h3. And now we can castle. It's not a problem that the rook is under attack. So we only worry about the fields where the king goes. So castling is allowed when your rook is under attack. So castling. So here, these two fields are under attack. We cannot castle. They are under attack by these two bishops and by this knight and by this rook. So we need to get rid of all of these pieces. So let's take the knight. Let's take the rook. Let's take this bishop. And we can play, for example, f4 to block the bishop. And the bishop does not attack the c1. And now we can castle. Next, let's learn about a specific term called en passant. So this is a situation when from the starting position, your opponent moves two squares and your pawn is positioned on, if you're playing against black, on the 5th rank. So you can take it while it passes you, en passant. So black played d7, d5, so we can take it on d6, en passant, while it passes you. So you can only play it immediately after the opponent's move. So now the opponent moved g7 to g5. Now we can take it. Okay, so we can take it with c5 to b6. c5 to b6. Okay, this, take it on c6, g6. Well done. Let's learn about stalemate. Stalemate is a situation where the king has no place to go, but it's not in check. So if we play bishop e3, you see that the rook attacks on the b file, takes the b7, b8, and a7 is attacked by the bishop. So therefore, there is no check at the moment, but the king has no place to go. This game is pronounced a draw. So here, if we play knight to f4, all of the fields are under attack. There is no possible move. The pawn cannot move because of the king, and the king cannot move to any of these fields because they are under attack by either of the knight. So here, to get to a stalemate, these fields are already attacked, and we can attack two of these fields squares by placing the knight on g6. Okay, so this knight is pinned by the bishop on d3. It cannot move. It will be an illegal move. This pawn is blocked by the king, cannot move. This pawn is blocked by the knight. and the king is here. So if we play rook to b8, we also block two of these fields for the king. So neither of the pawn, nor the king, nor the knight can move. Okay, to stalemate black in this position, let's analyze. So we probably need to make a series of moves. So we'll take on b2. Oh, just one move. And now these pawns are blocked. They don't have a further move. This pawn is pinned by the bishop. It cannot move. This field is controlled by the pawn, and the whole back rank, the 8th rank, is controlled by the rook. b6 is controlled by the king. So we haven't covered it yet. I think in previous videos, kings cannot stand on adjacent fields according to the rules of chess. So there has to be always one field between them, and that field is under attack.